Welcome to the Ask Dr. Deanna show. I'm Dr. Deanna Osborne, your host. Join me weekly as I cover various health-related lifestyle medicine topics that you get to request. This show is for anyone who wants to proactively improve their health position. I hope you enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me today. We are in an incredible series, a very timely topic on intermittent fasting, and the series is Fasting February. I always joke and say that makes it easy for me when I am making recommendations to my patients from an education standpoint. I can tell them just go listen to the February series, and you will learn pretty much everything you need to know about fasting and why I'm recommending this to you as a very, very powerful tool. And one of the things I do want to comment on as we go into today's topic and continue on this whole intermittent fasting thing. Fasting is safe and effective and certainly is fine for most people. But if you've ever had an eating disorder or you are underweight, et cetera, then absolutely, this is most likely not, this is not for you. If you have an eating disorder or have had an eating disorder in the past, or you're underweight, this would not be the program for you. And you certainly need to work with your doctor. So that being said, today I want to cover some do's and don'ts of fasting, some things that can help you have great success, some things that actually can get in the way of your success as well. And then I want to talk a little bit before I share some of those things, just about the main health benefits and just the whole reason why we're doing fasting. And then next week, I want you to come back, okay, because I'm going to break it down further and talk very, very specifically about what is happening in your body when you are fasting. But today I want to, give you some tracks to run on and just the how to, if you will, with do's and don'ts. So next week, it will be things like human growth hormone, insulin, some of those other things that are happening and how we can really utilize those to increase our metabolism. I think that this year, especially as we are looking at intermittent fasting and talking about that, you're going to hear more and more about metabolism, because we know that intermittent fasting is sort of like rocket fuel for your metabolism. That's one of the things that it does. And it's really because of the effect that it has on the hormones. So in addition to losing weight, which is probably the most common reason that people start doing intermittent fasting, we also know that it decreases insulin resistance, which is fantastic. It decreases insulin resistance, even reverses insulin resistance, so that people are metabolically healthy. It decreases inflammation, which is actually going to have a massive impact on chronic disease. When you think about inflammation, a lot of people when they're fasting, they notice that their joints feel better, that they have less body aches, less, mental fogginess, and so forth. And part of that is because you are decreasing the inflammatory load that is oftentimes brought on by food. And then also you're getting some cellular cleansing as you're fasting, some detoxification, if you will. And so that improves inflammation as well. Heart health is another reason that people will fast. And this is something that I've started recommending to my patients who are asking me the question, what else can I possibly do to help, have a positive impact on these cholesterol numbers and just from a heart healthy standpoint, prevention, et cetera. And one of the things that we know is that fasting will typically reduce LDL, which is that bad cholesterol. It does reduce inflammatory markers, which contribute to coronary artery disease. It helps to balance out blood sugar and, of course, reverse insulin resistance. All of those things, okay, the high LDL, high triglycerides, increased inflammatory markers, elevated blood sugar, as well as, struggling with insulin resistance. Those are all risk factors for coronary artery disease. Incorporating intermittent fasting into your lifestyle, this is just my lifestyle, the way that I'm going to live life. I'm going to embrace this. As a very effective tool can have so many benefits for you in the long run. There are also some fantastic, studies that show that it may have a positive impact on the reduction of cancer rates. And that is most likely because of this whole phenomenon that we call autophagy, which is a cellular cleansing or a cellular renewal that happens. And it also likely has to do somewhat with what we call gene expression. I used to think in when I was in med school that you have these genetics that you're born with, this genetic code, and that basically, it's sort of like a hand of cards that you've been dealt. And so, if these are the cards that you have, then these are likely the diseases that you will encounter in your life. But what I found, okay, was that was actually not an accurate way of thinking about things, because what I later discovered was that it matters what we bathe our genes in. And we can basically eat horrible food, processed food, and flip the switch and turn that gene on, and maybe it's going to run toward cancer or whatever that, or autoimmune disease or whatever. Or we can eat the right foods, give our body the right nutrients, a clean diet, etc., and it flips the switch off. But also, okay, when you look at intermittent fasting, that is also a way to have an impact on gene expression, whether a faulty gene that we have, is actually expressed and you get that disease or not. And again, I think it's because of that cellular cleansing, that cellular renewal, the autophagy that's going on, that has such an impact. And then brain health. We know that brain health improves when people are fasting. And there is actually a brain hormone called BDNF that has been measured and has been shown to be increased when people are fasting. And they think that it may actually even aid in the growth of new nerve cells, which is super exciting, and that fasting may actually protect against Alzheimer's. So, the benefits, as time goes on, the benefits just keep piling up, stacking up, and just pointing at, in the direction of intermittent fasting as a very healthy and much needed tool, especially in the U.S. In our current system. So many people are using this. They consider it a life hack. Many people consider intermittent fasting a life hack, a way to basically stay healthy, stay young, etc. And then, of course, we look at anti-aging as well. I had learned, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, through some of my functional medicine courses, that one of the number one things that you could do from an anti-aging standpoint, and I'm talking about anti-aging internally when you think about your organs, was to make sure that you were fasting 12 hours every single night, just 12 hours every single night. And so there are some animal studies out there that show that when with these animal models, when they are incorporating intermittent fasting, that it basically extends their lifespan anywhere from 36 to 83%. Now, those are likely mice, studies that are being done on mice. But still, we know that there's some improvement there. And certainly, we know that food matters, what we're eating. We know that doing all these things, it just makes a difference overall. So what are the do's and don'ts of fasting? Okay, so these are things that I just kind of created my own list of things, because these are questions that people ask me all the time. Can I have this? Can I have that? Can I, do this thing? Can I take my medication while I'm fasting? So first of all, when you think about fasting, most people will start with at least the 12 hours. Hopefully you're already doing that. And then they'll extend from 12 to 14, where they fast for 14 hours. And then probably the most common fasting program that we see is a 16-8, where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat or consume all of your calories for a day in an 8-hour eating window. That's actually the plan that I follow pretty much every day. And then usually 2 days a week, I will extend to an 18-hour. I might even throw in a 24-hour. And we'll talk next week about why that's important. But it's not only because of autophagy, but it's also because of increasing metabolism and just trying to supercharge your metabolism and really get some human growth hormone increases, which is going to help not only with metabolism, it's going to help with fat burning. It's also going to help with muscle growth. Okay. So we want to talk about how to hold on to our muscle. Most of the time when people are losing weight, they're losing muscle as well. We don't want that. Okay. We want to lose fat. We want to build muscle, right? So some of the do's, one of the first things people ask is, well, while I'm fasting, what can I have? Okay. Meaning, what can I consume orally, right? What can I have? Well, you can have, pretty much what we say is to avoid sugar, avoid carbs. Okay. And for the most part, avoid calories. Although in some instances, there are some things that are probably okay there on that list. But black coffee, okay, absolutely allowed during your fasting period. So for me, I typically will have 2 cups of black coffee in the morning. Some of you may be sensitive to caffeine. That's a whole nother story. I actually like a little caffeine. I think that it helps with just overall mental clarity, brain function, etc. So black coffee, unsweetened tea, whether that's an herbal tea, maybe has caffeine, maybe it doesn't. But the main thing is it cannot have any sweetener in it. So unsweetened tea. You can have lemon water. Okay. Just a fresh lemon water is a wonderful thing to have, in the morning as you are, continuing your fast. Some people will ask about matcha green tea. And, that typically is not, as long as do not add anything to it, no sugar, no sweetener, that would actually be okay as well. And then when you are breaking your fast, okay, it becomes really critical, super important what you break your fast with. And what I have found is that I function best when I break my fast with a focus on a good quality protein source and good quality healthy fats. Okay, so that's usually what I gear toward. And in fact, it's not uncommon for me to have little or no carbohydrates when I break my fast. So I might be eating, a keto style of protein shake and a healthy fat, or a protein shake that is, again, high protein, good quality protein, but also has in it, some healthy like avocado oil, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's usually when I'm breaking my fast with, and then I a lot of times talk about carb rationing, where I am limiting carbs to 50 grams in a day. And so I think ahead, okay, well, if I'm going to dinner with a group of friends, then certainly, I'm going to wait. Carbs might come at that time. Okay. So those are some of the things that you can do that will make a difference. But always the fast, when you end your fast in the morning, okay, or 11:30, 1:30, whatever it is, you go for protein and you go for healthy fat. When people just go and they break their fast and they're grabbing a high carbohydrate meal, well, you just have had really great stabilized blood sugar during your fasting period. And then you go high carbohydrate and you're just sending a surge of, what is basically sugar into your system. You are also causing your body to produce a lot of insulin. And, we're really just trying to keep this gradual steady state. And it just makes such a difference in terms of how you feel. Some of the don'ts, okay, while you're fasting, I mentioned already, definitely no sugar, no carbs. People will ask me sometimes, well, what about my medication? Well, you still take your medication, okay? If it's a medication that is required to be taken with food, then you may have to, push that a little bit and take it, when you break your fast. People will sometimes ask me about omega-3s. Can I have my omega-3 supplement? Omega-3 supplement is a fat. It's not going to increase your blood sugar. Okay, so fats and protein actually are neutral on the blood sugar. And really, when we're doing intermittent fasting, we are really trying to focus on keeping that blood sugar low, keeping the insulin levels low, bringing those, fasting insulin levels down for those of you who have insulin resistance, which, by the way, when you have your annual exam with your physician, ask them to check a fasting insulin level, because if your fasting insulin level is high, you really, really need to get on this. Okay, that is just not a good situation at all. If the fasting insulin level is high, you've got a problem. There's a problem brewing, and you can head that off by making some changes right now incorporating the intermittent fasting to bring that insulin level down, and it will absolutely have an impact for your overall health. So no sugars, no carbs, absolutely no. Do not eat and go to bed. Okay, so when you are incorporating intermittent fasting, you might think, well, I'm about to, I'll be fasting through tomorrow, so I'm going to eat and then go to bed. Do not do that. I always tell my patients that, whatever time you eat, if it's 7 p.m. and that's when your fasting starts, you have to be awake for 3 hours after you eat. So if you're one of those 9 p.m. people, then you need to back that up, and you probably need to be eating, your evening meal a little bit earlier and start your fasting window at 6 p.m., for example. So again, everybody varies. We all have different schedules. The schedule that I'm on when I'm in the office seeing patients is different from the schedule that I have when I'm on vacation, in terms of the time that I go to bed and the time that I might cut, my fasting window. So, during the week, I typically am, have no calories after 7:30. If I'm on vacation, well, I actually might eat at 9, but I'm up much, much later. Okay. And I just move it back, which brings me to another point, because I had this question asked recently, and it was, well, what about the person who, maybe they work from home and they've got their own schedule, or, or they're retired or whatever, and they just don't go to bed until the middle of the night. For most of us, they're the people who stay up until 3 a.m. every single night. What about them? Well, it would be very difficult for that 3 a.m. person to, start their fast, for example, at 6 or 7 p.m. So their fast would start a little later. And then obviously their 14, 16-hour window of fasting would extend longer into the next day. Okay. So definitely do not eat before bed. We are not, little children who need a bedtime snack. Okay. We do not fall into that category. The other thing that we do not want you to do during this time is do not binge eat. Okay. So if you've been fasting, okay, and you're hungry, you feel it, you're ready to break your fast and have some food, go slow. Do not pour it on. Do not start just eating, overeating, and binging. All right. You absolutely want to, again, that's why I like starting with a good protein and a good healthy fat, because it's going to serve your body. It's going to fuel your body, and give that some time to settle in. And then maybe, 2-3 hours later, if you are ready for something else, then by all means, go ahead at that point. So these are just some of the fasting do's and don'ts, things that can help you to have success as you incorporate intermittent fasting into your plan. And I just want to kind of end with a story. Someone who came into the office, and this is someone who did have some weight to lose. She was very unhappy with her weight and wanted, a prescription medication. And I said, I think that lifestyle, you would do so great with intermittent fasting, and just kind of gave her information and talked about that. And she embraced it. Her family got around her, supported her in that as well. And I got to see her back, and I was so excited to see that she had actually lost 52 pounds with intermittent fasting, and has now embraced a lifestyle that will stay with her, for the rest of her life. She knows how to manage her weight and how to control, the eating window. And she's also sharing it with other people. So I just am so excited when I see things like that happening. It's a definite win in the healthcare space for sure. So make sure you plug in next week, okay? Because we're going to talk more in detail about what is happening in your body when you are fasting, so that you understand why this is such a powerful tool, and why you should definitely consider doing this. Whether you've got insulin resistance, you've got some weight to lose, you want to address your cholesterol panel, whatever it is, maybe some inflammation, autoimmune, whatever. Plug in next week and learn more. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that episode. For more information, visit me at deannaosborne.com. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Deanna Osborne. I really want to hear from you, so message me. I love taking your messages and creating topics from them. Please rate, review, subscribe, and share my show with those who have an interest in health and wellness. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next week.